Welcome to Fool's Key Tarot. I'm Ben, and this is a daily reading for Sunday, June 1st, 2025. Let's see what the cards have in store for us. The Five of Pentacles. This is a card that can indicate loss, exclusion, being kicked out of a group. Next, we have the Fool reversed. This can be naivete. It can be stuck in an initial place without being able to move forward or not realizing the potential that you have. Finally, the Magician, major arcana number 1 in the upright position, which is about focus and power and talent and mastery. So interesting contrast to have major arcana number 0 and number 1, but 0 is reversed and 1 is upright. So because the major arcana kind of form a sequence, and these two cards are directly in sequence from 0 to 1, I think that what the cards are saying here is that you've started something that you weren't really ready for. So you're off practicing it, getting better at it, training. Maybe there's a teacher or a mentor involved. It could be a boss who's giving you instruction. It could be anybody in your life who is either older than you or more experienced than you or just better at this particular thing than you, and they are helping you along, giving you tips or training you in some way. That's all related to the Magician card, but with the reversed Fool, it makes me feel like you either don't feel prepared for this training that you're undergoing or you aren't actually ready for it yet. So if you do feel like you are ready for it, then I think the cards are indicating that maybe there's something that you haven't actually put into place yet that is going to be required to really make progress. That doesn't mean you've wasted all the effort so far, but it does mean there's something in either your mindset or the materials that you have that you are taking to this process of improvement or training that aren't quite adequate or aren't quite up to the task, at least not the future. Maybe it's worked so far. The Magician is upright, so I think there's been some real progress. You've made some gains, but there is something about the beginning of the process that is going to eventually stop you from getting any farther, and I think that moment is coming soon. And so I think you want to go back to the beginning of your process and ask yourself, how did I begin? And is there anything that I did at the beginning of this that is going to handicap or prevent my future progress? It might already be having an effect. It might be something that hasn't come up yet, but will soon. So if you're feeling like everything is going well, I would reassess a little bit and ask yourself if there isn't something that could be changed. Now, if you feel uncertain, like you're doing the training and you're getting the instruction and you're putting in the practice time, but you're just not making progress or it doesn't feel right in some way, the cards are validating that feeling. They're saying you're right to think that something is off, and it has something to do with your mindset towards the training or, again, to the way that you began the training. So if you're trying to figure out what is wrong, go back to the initiation process and to your own mindset, especially your mindset at the beginning. There may have been an attitude or an assumption that you brought to the very beginning of this process that is still infecting you and is still causing a lack of progress. Now, the Five of Pentacles over here indicates a loss of some kind or being excluded from something. So I wonder if there is either a group who could give you resources or instruction at this thing that you are practicing or trying to get better at, or a different potential mentor who has refused to teach you so far, or maybe they haven't refused, maybe you haven't even been able to ask them. Maybe there's somebody you want to work with or learn from, and you don't feel like you're ready, or you're afraid that they would say no if you did ask, or you have asked and they did say no. Maybe they're too busy, maybe you don't have the right qualifications, maybe based on your position and status, they won't even consider taking you on as a student or a trainee. And this is probably causing frustration. It might even be the cause of the issue that is either going to become a problem in your training or is already becoming a problem in your training. So if you feel hung up over a different course that you were not able to take, the cards are saying don't let that weigh over you and cause you to feel like your progress is going to be worse. If you're constantly thinking about, well, if I only had access to this group, or this team or this resource, then I would be making so much better progress. Whether or not that's true, that is not a helpful attitude for making the progress that you want to make. So don't let that hang over your head if that is something that is weighing on you. That could be what's indicated by the reversed Fool here, where you feel like you got off to a wrong start and that is still bothering you now, and that mental burden is going to get in the way of your future progress. If that's not the case for you, it might be that something was taken away, maybe a material that you need to practice, or actual resources that are required, like money or time. That is going to be pretty discouraging if you're trying to get better at something and you either don't have access to, or your access is removed from the materials that you feel like you need to practice. So this could be the tools of the trade. It could be a guidebook or a place where you can get information or actual physical, tangible tools. With this being a Pentacle cards, it's more likely to be something physical that you actually need, or a person who has tangible knowledge that they could give to you that would help you. And for whatever reason, you are shut off from access to that thing. And again, the cards are saying, don't let that stop you from making progress. The more that you think about what you don't have, the less you're going to focus on what you do have. The Magician is all about creating what you need in the situation that you're in order to move forward. So whatever you don't have access to, it might be a real problem for your progress. I'm not saying that having this thing taken away from you doesn't matter, or that it doesn't affect your progress in any way. It's just that there is a way to move forward without this, and you have the tools that you need, but you need to use them maybe creatively, maybe in a way that no one else has told you to do, but that you can think of on your own. There might be a lot of ways around this block. And again, if you're not sure what the way forward is or what the problem is, go back to the beginning of this process. Whenever you started trying to learn this skill or start improving this thing or getting better at this quality or talent, whatever the beginning was probably holds the seeds of whatever is causing your progress not to be satisfactory. I don't think that you're not making any progress. I think you're either not making the progress you want, or the progress is going to slow down soon. Or maybe you're just overthinking it. Maybe you're making all the progress you want, but your mind is just on how it could be going better, and therefore you feel dissatisfied, even though in reality your current progress is actually perfectly acceptable. So overall, I think the message from today's cards are that when you are in the middle of a process of learning or acquiring a new skill, you want to make sure that you begin this process with the right beginner's mindset. The Fool is open and receptive to new knowledge. They don't assume that they already know everything. And there might be a problem with that, which could cause issues either now or going forward. And also, if you don't have access to the teacher that you want or the materials that you want, you're just going to have to make do. But the good news is the cards are telling you you absolutely do have what you need. You have a way to move forward and make progress, even if it's not the ideal materials or the ideal situation. You just have to make do with what you have, and you will make progress. And you might go eventually earn that situation or that mentor that you really wanted, or those resources that you really wanted. You might get there eventually and access those things, and that unlock will be a huge step forward. But until you can get there, you're going to have to make progress in whatever way you can on your own. And the cards are telling you that you absolutely can do that. You just need to have the right mindset, and you need to not be too worried about whatever you're missing or whatever is not ideal about your learning situation. So if you enjoyed this reading, then subscribe to see more. And if you'd like to learn about tarot cards or try some of my online guided readings, then head on over to foolskey.com where you can check that out. Thanks for watching, and see you tomorrow.